All right, welcome back. We are here with Bud, and joining us today is Collin. Collin just passed his private pilot check ride exam, and we're going to learn a little bit about that experience, how it went, how the training went, how that exam went at the end to get his license, and then also his future aspirations. So, Collin, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
One of the things we've talked about it as we were putting all this stuff together here at AviatorEdge, one of the things we thought would be cool is if you get to spend some time talking to someone who just came out of a check ride. So if I'm anticipating my check ride and all those nerves and things that go with it, I'd like to talk to somebody who just did it. And so spending some time with Collin is a real pleasure today. And he's one of the best students that we have. He's always on time, and he's always studying like crazy amounts. So I knew he was ready when the time come. Like, this guy's going to crush this. And
Yeah.
He did. Good job, man. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, it seems like you're well-read. So tell us on that check ride experience, how did that first impression go with the examiner?
So yeah, going into the check ride, I knew that DPEs, what they're looking for right away is confidence, and I struggled a little bit with confidence throughout my whole flight training, as most student pilots do, but I went in there and everybody says fake it till you make it, and that's what I did. So I puffed my chest out and just went in with it, went into it with full confidence, and it ended up helping me out a lot.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, we talked about this about a week or two before, maybe 3 weeks before the check ride. I'm like, I knew he was a baseball star from back in his days in high school. And so when I talked to him, I was like, bro, how did you, you can't go up and strike out. You're going to strike out some. You can't come up behind that and strike out every time. So he was like, yeah, I was good at that. I'm like, well, you're good at this. And next thing I know, the next ride he had with the CFI, I'm like, how'd it go? He crushed it. He was able to take that, and you just got to draw that inner strength, pull out what you got, and go flaunt it in front of a DPE because they don't know what you don't know. Don't let them find it.
Hey, some are born to fly.
Yeah.
Collin, as far as pilot qualifications went, at start, privileges, limitations, anything like that, what did the examiner ask you, and what was he specifically looking for in pilot qualifications?
So I believe the first question he asked me was just what documents are you required to have to fly? And obviously everything that we're talking about is in regards to being a private pilot rather than being a student pilot. So right away I got into, I need my private pilot license, and I need my government issued photo ID as well as my medical certificate. And then he asked me a couple questions about medical certificates, and then he wanted me to get right into PAVE. He asked me, how did you prepare yourself for this flight? And I knew he was looking for me to get into PAVE. So I went through I'm safe. I went through having all my documents, knowing my privileges and limitations, as well as being current and proficient.
Yeah, cool. So he kind of segued straight into airworthiness too. So from PAVE, you went straight into the aircraft too and started talking about aero and stuff like that?
Right, yep.
Okay.
And then, so did everything for aircraft. So the required inspections for the aircraft, required documents for the aircraft. And what helped me out a lot going through all of this was I had it all written out on the whiteboard. So before he gave me time to write it out on the whiteboard so I could think about it, and that way it kind of made me feel more comfortable going through it, looking at it rather than just going off the top of my head. So I made sure I wasn't forgetting anything, or I didn't leave out any information that is needed as I'm going through the PAVE checklist. And that just really helped me be confident throughout the whole check ride, is just writing everything out on the whiteboard.
Hey, in that check ride, was there any question that you thought, wow, I didn't see that coming? Because there has to be one. Usually there's one you're like, oh man, I know this, but I have to think about it. What was that question for you?
So it was just one question that I was a little tripped up on, and it was a question that I had never heard before. And throughout my whole training, we got hammered on 91-213 inoperative flow. And I went through the whole flow perfectly fine. And then at the end of it, he asked me if the regulations in the TCDS are expired, do they still need to be complied with? And before he even asked me that, I had my FAR aim opened up to 91-213, and I was able to read through all of that and find that the answer is yes, you do need to still comply with the regulations, even though they're expired. And then we got into it later on in the debrief, and he explained it to me how our planes are pretty old, so they have different regulations that are expired, but they do still need to be complied with.
Yeah.
Dude,
That's
that's
tough.
exact. We were talking about that very thing just yesterday.
Yeah.
When we were talking about if you don't know the answer, know where to find it, because
Yep.
some things in the plane you need to know airspace. You need to know things you have to know right there.
Yep.
You don't have time to look it up. But if you're on the ground, he's talking about 91-213. We're running down Mel's, and you just run down the list. There's no, you don't have to memorize that. That's why it's in front of
Yep.
you. That's what we talked about. That is great advice that
Oh, yeah.
you can take when you get ready for your check ride. You'll be super prepared, knowing that the things that you have to have here, you'll be ahead of the game, because most people don't think in those terms. Good job, brother.
Yeah, well, especially at TCDS, that's not something that you're going to need to know immediately in the air. That's something you could, as long as you know where to find it, you can go, oh, well, I know where to find a type certificate data sheet. Let me pull it up, and then we can find the answer there. And examiners love that. And he was cool with you looking it up and finding it. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it was the only question that I had to look up in the FARAIM, and I already had my FARAIM opened up because 91-213 is a thing that a lot of students do fail on in the knowledge portion of the test. So I knew that it was probably best for me to just open up the FARAIM before I even started talking, just so that I didn't mix anything up.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. And to be fair, around here in the Valley, when we're testing right now, 91-213 Delta is kind of a big deal. We're talking about MELs a lot. But to be fair to flight students, we don't use MELs on these planes. So, however, when we get to your level, we're obviously going to use MELs on the regular. You use them daily for everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully not daily.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you hope the plane's a little reliable, but
Well, sure.
Yeah, but that is the hard thing is a lot of it is abstract learning. You're learning things that you're going to have to apply later on in training, or if you're trying to make this a career, you're going to have to work on these things like MELs and when you're flying jets later on. So yeah, that's kind of tough, but kudos to you for knowing that.
Yeah, for real. So you came from...
Originally from Wisconsin,
Okay, so you came all the way to...
Arizona.
Okay, for a accelerated program. Now, my point in that is this. You moved a long way. If you don't mind me asking, you're in your 20s-ish?
Yeah, I'm 20 years old.
Okay, perfect. So it puts you right at the age to get to the airlines in that young 20s so that you can make a long career out of this. So, I mean, there's a great pathway for you. And so you must feel like the program that you're in has got you prepared for that check ride, because you crushed it first try, man. I'm proud of you. So that's cool. So the accelerated program you feel works for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you have the work ethic to do it, it doesn't really matter how good you do in school, if you like in high school or if you're in college, how well you perform there. But developing study habits along the way. And I think the biggest thing is leaning on your peers and the other people here at Venture West to help you out with any problems that you have.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's really why we're trying to do this, is for school.com to be a forum for people to get answers like this, to learn, and to have people's shoulders to be able to rub with as long as they keep learning and stuff. So in your check ride, was there any scenario-based training questions that the examiner asked you that you had to kind of go through the scenario and then come up with an answer?
Yeah, I mean, basically everything was scenario-based. It was a lot of, hey, you're flying you and your buddy here. Can you do this? Or what are the specific details that you need to think about for this specific situation, type of thing.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's something we want to work on more is being able to present scenario-based training, because that's the best way to do it. Were there any remarks, things that you wish you had studied a little bit more? Obviously, it sounds like your oral check ride went pretty smoothly, but anything that you wish you had studied more, or was the training that good that you felt so prepared during your oral check ride?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really think of anything that I wish I would have studied more. I was pretty specific on going into the check ride with confidence and knowing that I can answer any question that he asks me.
As you should. Sweet.
I'm going to tell you, one of the things I find in working with Collin and in working with, I get to work with a ton of great students that are getting prepared on various levels. And we know as part of the CFI training, and you'll get into that when you get a little deeper in the program, but you learn how that people learn at different speeds. So when we get ready for the check ride, a lot of times it's less about what you actually know, and it's a checkup from the neck up, and here's where we're looking, because it really is a game that you're playing because you're walking into a room with the DPE and you're asking them sometimes as a younger adult to an older, almost every time, it can go either direction, but as that older adult, you're having, so that's part of what they deal with too. As a 20-year-old, he's learning to interact with people that are influential into his future.
Yep.
So I think there's so much to be gained here, and with these programs, I think that brings the best out in people, and it's an accomplishment that you're going to take with you for the rest of your life. You have accomplished something. No one can, I mean, obviously make a mistake. I'm saying they can't take away the feeling that you got when you rang that bell out there. You earned that, man. That's big. You earned a bunch of them. He's just on the beginning of getting those.
Oh, the first one's always the most memorable, though, except for if you fail like me, but, we don't talk about that much.
Don't we have a commercial coming up? Why do we never have commercials on this show? We could have cut the commercial right before you said that. It would have been great. Yeah.
So, Collin, after the check ride, what are your aspirations? Do you want to go to the airlines? Do you want to fly corporate? What are your goals with aviation?
Hey, before you answer that, I got a buddy of mine that flies corporate. He might know somebody. I'm just saying.
Yeah, so I kind of just plan on taking whatever opportunities come my way, and the end goal being the airlines.
Yeah, cool. Awesome, man.
Yeah, congratulations, man. Thanks for all the hard work you put into this. It was fun watching you, and it's going to be even better watching you blast through this instrument program. Yeah. That's so much fun because it's a different kind of learning now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, my last question for you, Collin. As you prepared for your check ride, you did use AviatorEdge throughout your training. How did that help in preparing you for your check ride?
Yeah, so I think that watching the videos and taking notes on the videos, building your ACS binder through watching the videos, it's a lot easier than going through reading the PHAC, reading the AFH, and reading the FAR-AIM, whereas you can just get this information from watching a video and type up the notes as you go, as well as taking the tests that are at the end of each video portion. Everything really helped me a lot.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks again for being with us today, man. Thanks for sharing that experience with us, and we hope you'll come back after you get when you go through your next check ride, fresh too. Come back right so we can drill down to the hard questions. These questions will be a lot harder in the future, I promise.
Yeah. Thanks, and good luck in the rest of your training.
Appreciate it.